Hi everyone, it's Mana. So Osaka has become a really popular destination for foreign visitors, and many of them go there hoping to meet Japanese women, hang out, date, or maybe even find someone special. And there may be a reason for that. People often say that women in Western Japan, especially in the Kansai area, tend to be more outgoing, friendly, and cheerful than the people in Eastern Japan, such as Tokyo and the wider Kanto area. Of course, I'm not sure how true that stereotype really is, but there's one thing I can say about Kansai people. They take humor seriously. Making people laugh is almost part of the culture there. They joke with their friends, their families, and their partners, and sometimes it feels like everyone is naturally competing to see who can get the biggest laugh. I was born and raised in Tokyo, and yes, I have to admit, when it comes to humor, Kansai people are on another level. It's pretty hard for us Tokyo people to compete with them. So anyway, I'm gonna share 5 ways Japanese men start conversation with women, whether it's at a bar, in a cafe, at an izakaya, or even just on the street. They are based on things I've personally experienced or seen happen in the past. And at the end of the video, I will also give you some advice on what not to do when approaching a Japanese woman. So, let's dive in. The first thing many of them do is approaching a woman almost like, please just give me 1 minute, and then immediately start talking. They might open with a little joke to try to make her laugh, and if it works, they will ask her to have a drink with them. Some guys even say something like, if I can make you laugh, will you have a drink with me? It sounds funny, but I've actually had Japanese men from the Kansai area do this to me before. Well, this was back when I was in my 20s. They can be very confident in their ability to make people laugh. Sometimes the confidence works beautifully, but sometimes the joke completely fails, and the woman just stands there with a frozen smile, not knowing what to say. But a lot of Japanese men, especially in Kansai, don't seem too bothered when a joke fails flat. They just keep going and try again. The second way is even more dramatic. Some guys will suddenly do together in front of a woman and say something like, please hang out with me. They can be incredibly direct. At first glance, you might think, why would you lower yourself like that? Doesn't that make you look desperate? But for some guys, that's not really the point. They are willing to make themselves look a little silly if it gets a reaction from her. Their attitude is more like, if this works, we end up having a drink together and she has a great time with me, and then I win. So instead of worrying too much about looking cool or protecting their pride, they sometimes go all in and make the approach itself entertaining. And strangely enough, sometimes it works. And actually, if a foreign guy did this in a playful way, I think quite a few Japanese women would probably laugh. It's so unexpected that it could break the ice really quickly. Of course, it won't work on everyone, but if she finds it funny, you might have a surprisingly good chance of starting a conversation. The third way is a little more subtle. Imagine you're at a bar or an izakaya and there's a woman sitting at the next table. A man might casually ask her, excuse me, do you have any recommendations? We can't decide what to order. What do you think is good here? Asking about the food is actually a really easy and natural way to start a conversation. And if you order what she recommended and it turns out to be delicious, you have the perfect excuse to talk to her again. You can say something like, you're right, that was really good. Thanks for the recommendation. Then the conversation can naturally continue from there. This kind of approach is a lot less dramatic. It feels casual, polite, and not too pushy. Instead of jumping straight in with a joke or dramatic approach, let me try to create a small natural reason to start talking first. The fourth way is to playfully ask her to settle an argument. You might say, my friend and I are arguing about something. Can you decide who's right? Then ask her a funny or harmless question. This is a great way to bring her into the conversation immediately without making it feel too serious or awkward. And if you prepare a few funny questions in advance, even better. If you can make her laugh, it gives you a much better chance of keeping the conversation going naturally. The key is to make the question light, playful, and easy for her to answer. You are not interviewing her. You are just giving her a fun reason to join the conversation. The fifth way is to ask her for a small favor. For example, you could ask her, "Excuse me, could you take a photo of me and my friend?" But then, instead of posing normally, you and your friend start making ridiculous poses or funny faces. She might start laughing while she's taking the photos, and suddenly you've created a fun little moment together. If I were in that situation, I would probably laugh a lot. And if the guys seemed friendly and funny, I might even think they seem fun. I wouldn't mind becoming friends with them. That's the point. You are not immediately trying to impress her or asking for her number. You are just creating a relaxed, funny moment that makes it easier to start talking afterwards. And if the conversation is going well, you could casually say, "If you are free, would you like to join us for a coffee?" Or even more naturally, "We are going to grab a coffee. Would you like to join us?" That feels much more relaxed than suddenly ask her on a date. And here's some extra advice about what not to do when you start a conversation with a Japanese woman in person. First, don't open with something like, "Hi, you're so beautiful," or "You are so cute." I just had to tell you, of course, she might appreciate the compliment, but not only Japanese women, women all over the world may simply say "thank you," give you a small polite smile, walk past you, or try to keep the distance. I've seen plenty of Japanese women try this approach and fail. In fact, being too direct about her appearance right from the beginning can actually push her away, because at the point, you are still complete strangers. Compliments can definitely be appreciated, but they are not always the best way to break down that initial barrier. Instead, you could compliment something she's wearing and said, "Hey, I like a t-shirt, where did you get it?" Complimenting something she chose, like her clothes, bag, or accessories, can feel much more casual and less intense than commenting directly on her looks. But of course, you still need to be ready for what comes next. If she answers, you need something else to say. Otherwise, the conversation might end right there. And I think the older you get, the harder it can feel to use these really casual or playful approaches. But if you're already in the same situation, it becomes much easier. If you are both attending the same event and there's a woman you'd like to get to know, you already have something in common. You can simply talk about the event, ask her what she thinks about it, or make a casual comment about what's happening around you. That gives you a natural starting point, so the conversation doesn't feel forced. And actually, I don't think these ideas are only useful in Japan. You can probably use many of them in other countries too. I hope this video gave you some fun ideas for starting a conversation in a casual, natural way based on what I've learned from Japanese men. Thank you so much for watching my video. Until then, I would be happy if you hit the subscribe button. See you in the next video. Bye!